morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live podcast, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, we hop on every Friday and talk about all things North Fork. Oh my God, summer has arrived on the North Fork. I mean, I know it's not technically summer, but winter has been kind of like lingering, and since yesterday, I would say, people are jumping into pools, even the sound seems swimmable. Everything is open, the vineyards are open late, the farm stands are bursting with all kinds of produce. I mean, good morning, Stephen, how are you? I think there is rhubarb, asparagus, strawberries, and of course greens. And in fact, some of the farms that use greenhouses or grow indoors have even spotted some tomatoes coming up. So it is definitely the happy season on the North Fork. So much to do, so many events. And what I've noticed is recently there are a lot more accounts on Instagram that are posting about what to do. And, of course, we have the OG, Kelly, who did weekend plans. But there are several new accounts, and I'll tag a few and we'll start sharing. There is the farmer's market today in Greenport, which is a really nice selection of produce and nibbles. And what I love about it is it's in the afternoon. So if you're running around in the morning and can't make it, because usually farmers markets, at least in my experience, have been in the mornings. I went last Friday and there was live music. I mean, it was really kind of like an outing, So there's that. There is a dock diving contest at the Greenport Skate Park this weekend. There is music on every vineyard. I believe the brewery is having something. It's just a great season. About how long and dreary the winter was, So I hope you're planning on going out there and enjoying one of these things. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very good. Are you out there enjoying this beautiful weather suddenly that showed up?
I'm trying to. This work thing keeps getting in the way, though. But
Oh. But since yesterday, I mean, I was driving around yesterday, and I think it was 80 something degrees. Like I wasn't paying attention to how hot it was going to get.
I know.
But but while we're waiting, but Tracy's running a few minutes late. Let's talk about your other business that you have before we jump into the fire department. I know you've already been featured on the show with your property management, so share a little bit about that one.
Sure. So Never Sweat Property Management. We tell people we're the one phone number you need for anything to do with your house. So if you need, something small like a light bulb changed, or you want to put, a new roof on your house, which we just finished one in Watermill, literally anything you could possibly think of. We call ourselves the punch list specialist. So basically people just walk around their house and say, wow, I have 50 things that I want to get done in the next year. And we kind of just tell them, give it to us. We'll prioritize like what's going to affect you first. We'll do those. And then, if you're not here full time, we'll do a lot of stuff during the week so you don't have to see us. So literally anything and everything.
And you
like
can take care of a lot of things in the off season. I mean, now the off season here is really getting smaller and smaller.
Yes, it's fun. There's kind of like waves in property management, obviously with seasonal stuff, but during the season, you're kind of being here to make sure everyone's ready to enjoy the house, but then they always break stuff, so you're kind of like just kind of running behind and fixing things. And then once everyone kind of leaves in the fall, you kind of start your project season, so that's when you're redoing bathrooms, redoing kitchens, and then all of a sudden it's the spring again, and you got to ramp up and get everyone ready for the summer. So there's ebbs and flows. It's always busy, which is good. But every day is unique. Like I said, we just finished this 8,000 square foot roof at Watermill, but then I also threw a birthday party for one of my clients' kids the other day where I had to get like the petting zoo and the face painter and the slip and slide. So every day is different. It's not exactly how I drew it up a couple of years ago when we started, but it's evolved to something pretty cool.
I know we talked about that when you were on the show. Is as an entrepreneur, you have a vision or an idea of what your business will be like, and then you start on that path, and part of it involves growing. Good morning, Tracy. Evolving, and I mean, I see you power washing, I see you installing roofs. You're just doing it all.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, so it's all good.
Good morning, Tracy. How are you?
Good morning. You know what? You weren't showing up along the top. I don't know why.
I was here babbling on. talk about, and I'm going to hop back to Mike, and we are going to talk about the fire department, but this is the first time I'm seeing you after our
I
Bollywood
know.
night, because you have been so busy and traveling and doing other events and whatever. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and are you still soaking up that magic?
Well, it feels like it was 3 years ago to me at this point. And I know you're going to reach through the camera and smack me, but I still have not looked at the
Oh,
pictures.
oh
So
my God.
I
Oh
know
my God.
I'm really actually looking forward to, this is the first weekend I'm home, so I'm looking forward to sitting down this weekend and looking through them and digesting, and I
There's
can't wait.
so many pictures of the dance floor. You would think that all we did was dance. Like literally, there's people have been since the day of the party. People have been sending me all their dance floor photos. But we were so lucky because we had Eduardo
Yep.
capture our photos, and then our friend Chris, who just started a new newspaper. I'm not even sure what to call
Yeah.
it. The Norfolk Sun. He was there, and he had Jeremy Garrison. How do you say his name? Come and take some incredible photos. So I got to send you a link for those if you haven't seen
Yeah.
those yet.
I saw the North Fork Sun, and in fact forwarded it to Poppy because Poppy is front and center in those
Yes,
photos of the North Fork Sun.
Poppy was on the dance floor with his moves, and now I
Yes.
know where you get your moves
Yeah.
from.
Well, both my parents, honestly. When I
Oh,
was little, they used to go to, like, I don't know, the Marriott, like on the LIE, and go to like these dance contests.
oh my God, they
Yeah.
were. He was great. He
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
really fun.
Okay, let's hop right in. We've had Mike on before, like we said, but today Mike is here representing the fire department because if you're not aware, the fire department is it entirely volunteers? I
Yeah.
know several people that do volunteer for it, including our friend Steve, Stacy's husband, who's really where this whole connection started, but he had to be on trip, so he couldn't be here. So we're going to hear all the good stuff from Mike.
Yeah. No, it's 100% volunteer based. There's plenty of different roles for people depending on what they want to do. A lot of people are very busy, but some people give a lot of time during the week. Some people give a couple hours during the week, which is fine. Everything is appreciated.
Which
So about
I
how
like
many
to say,
people do you have on the team that volunteer?
Oh, um, in the department, it's got to be a couple hundred, I think.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's guys who have been in for 50 years that are still active, and we had a nice swing of newer people with Steve and I in the last like 3 years. I mean, I think our group is probably like 14 or 15 people at this point. Um, but everyone, has a role with something. There's, a lot of like the older guys, for example, if there's an EMT or a paramedic call or something like that, sometimes people drive to the scene and then they get on the ambulance and they leave their car. So then someone has to come get their car. So there's always like something to do during any call, whether it's like a simple, someone doesn't feel good, or it's like something traumatic like a car accident or whatever it is. Always something for everybody to do.
Well, and I think I want to just mention, because, through my events, we use volunteers a lot. And volunteers often don't show up, or they're not capable of doing certain jobs that you want them to do. So I think it's really important to mention that this is a vital part of our community, and it is 100% volunteer run, which is huge. That is huge. I mean, we kind of take for granted, I can speak for myself, we take for granted if I call 911 and say there's a fire, the fire department's showing up, and you don't really think about the fact that these are your neighbors that are just volunteering their time off of when they're not doing their regular job, to essentially come save your life, if that's what it comes down to.
Well, and you would say, you're saying when you're not doing a job, but I would say in most cases they would drop what their less priority job is and come to this because I agree with what you said, Tracy. Like I just assume if I call, like there's not even a thought in my mind
Right.
that they won't be like an army of people to help. So Mike, tell us a little about what is the process of becoming a volunteer?
Sure. Pretty much you come down, you sign up. There's an application process, and then the membership committee will review everything and kind of go through some paperworky stuff. But it's super, super simple. We make it very easy because we're always looking for volunteers. We do have a very strong core of people in the fire department, but we're always looking for more. And like I said, there's roles for everybody. So like
And
myself, I'm an interior fireman, so I mean, I'm allowed to go into a burning building, but some people might not want to do that. So they can be an exterior fireman, so they just work on the outside. Or if you just want to be an exterior and also an EMT, if you want to, do more of the rescue side. If you wanted to do fire police, which is essentially if there's a scene, they're just kind of directing traffic and letting us work on the patients while they're kind of handling the rest of the public. I mean, there's committees for everything. There's special jobs like the dive team. I mean, water rescue. There's a little bit of everything. So it's whatever you kind of wanted to do, you could definitely get your hands on.
If you wanted to do one of those jobs but didn't say have the training, can you get the training through the fire department?
Yep, exactly. So you'd have to go to called Firefighter 1, which is it's probably a couple week course. You go to a class once a week, and then you have 4 hands-on at the fire academy in Yaphank, and they'll teach you everything you need to know. So it's the procedures, like I said, for interior stuff, for exterior stuff, and then there's also EMT courses if you wanted to find one. Last year we had one in Southold. This year there's probably going to be one somewhere in the North Fork or somewhere close where everyone kind of goes to, and we make it very easy to help you help us, essentially.
so in my mind, I'm picturing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm picturing that there are some abilities that are required, and it's almost like boot camp 101, where someone like me really wouldn't even pass the first week of testing. Or am I misunderstanding and someone like me could sign
No,
up to volunteer?
you could definitely sign up. If you're an exterior fire person, there's not a lot of like physical stuff like that you have to pass per se.
Okay.
You'll like learn how to do how to put a ladder up in a building on the outside, or here's how you're going to drag the hose or something. It's always good to have some sort of basic fire knowledge, especially at a fire scene. But then also if you wanted to just be the EMT, it's good to know everything about the fire side, but then you can also kind of transfer to the rescue squad, and that's more of like the patient care, the ambulance, going to the hospital. So
Well,
yeah,
that's good to know, because I'm sure there are many people that would like to participate, but like me are fearful that, you need to be a certain, like when the image of the firefighter, in my brain is which, I don't necessarily relate to.
sure. No, there's plenty of men and women in all shapes and sizes who are in the fire department, and everyone finds their role. They find what they're good at, and it's great because there's some people that are really good at one thing, and we like, okay, that's their job. They're good, and then you go on to the next thing. So, no, there's always something for everybody to do. It's really cool because people don't have to like hesitate to be like, I don't know, like if I know what to do here or whatever. There's a lot of help. There's a lot of help
There's,
with joining
there's a
the fire
lot
department.
of places to start, is what you're saying, and you
Right.
can either stay there or then keep going. Okay. Talk to me a little bit again, another stereotype in my head about, I'm assuming there is a brotherhood because you guys spend so much time together. I mean, I hear from Steve, and again, totally different age groups as well, but you guys have kind of become a family.
Yeah, definitely. It is a big family. I mean, there are times where you have a training and you come back, you debrief, and then everyone kind of just like hangs out, has dinner together, and you just talk. And especially after like a call that we see some stuff that the average person doesn't want to see. So it's always good just to talk about it, especially if someone didn't have a great experience with that call. They might have seen something that kind of like spooked them or triggered them to do something. So there's definitely a big support community within the fire department, and just supporting each other. It's not easy what we do, but we all signed up for it, so it's all okay.
So when a call goes in, when I pick up the phone and I call and I say I need help, how does that call, because that goes to like a 911 call center, right? So how does that call get dispatched to you guys?
So that call, I believe, goes to the police station on 25 in Southold, and then they will dispatch us. So like we all carry pagers, which will tell us kind of what's going on. So it's like, for example, a signal 16 is an ambulance call, a 13 is a fire call, a 23 is kind of like a CO detector or something random. There's all sets of codes and stuff. Then usually chiefs, they have their own car. They're kind of going first. They go there. They kind of assess the situation while everyone's kind of going to get in the ambulance or get in the fire truck. And then there's a lot of communication between them. And the chief will say, hey, there is a fire. I need you guys to hit this hydrant and then drop this hose here and then go in here. Or if it's an ambulance call, say, okay, the patient's in the third floor bedroom, we have to get the stair chair, which is a thing that it sounds exactly what it is. You put them in a chair and they like has big tracks and it's easy to get people out. But there's definitely like a chain of command. The chiefs, officers, and really any senior members will kind of like take control depending on who's there. Sometimes, during the middle of the day, there's no chiefs and one officer. It's okay, like you're in charge. And sometimes there's no officers and no chiefs, just depending on the time of the day. And it's like, okay, we kind of will gather whoever's here and just make a plan. Which
So
I
there's
think
a lot of logistics involved.
yes and no. Yeah, it's at first like it's a lot. You're like, okay, I don't want to offend anybody and step on anyone's toes, but it's all just communication based. It's like, here's what's happening, here's what I can do to help, and if you don't want it, that's fine. What else can I do to help? And everything is just based around the patient, the building, whatever is happening. We're just trying to, take care of whatever the issue is.
I have two questions. Okay, so you said we all carry these pagers. Is that when you're on shift, or is that all the time?
Mostly all the time. So there's no like on shifts per se.
Okay.
It's kind of like whenever you can go, you can go. There's, I'm relatively lucky where I can kind of control what I do during the day. So I can kind of say if I have time, I can go. Some people with work, like you can't leave work and get fired just to go to an ambulance call. But at the end of the night, like if you're having dinner or whatever, and you're like, okay, I can go right now. So there's usually always enough people to do whatever we got to do. If there's not, then the pager goes off again. It's kind of like, okay, we still need some extra help. So then it's like, if you can go now, we kind of need you. But usually there's the crew.
Well, that makes me extra grateful to know that there are so many people willing to put their time and effort towards helping others. That we feel confident that somebody will show up.
Yeah, somebody will always show up. We also have a Stony Brook paramedic that kind of revolves between. There's one that does, I think, Orient, East Marion, Greenport, and there's one that does Southold FD. So that's a trained, professional, paid paramedic that kind of like supports us. So if there's an ambulance call that's relatively serious and you need a paramedic so you can administer drugs, like they're there for that. But if it's like something where an old lady, doesn't feel great, it's okay. Like we can handle that. They can just get the next one type of thing. So there is a combination between that. There's a combination between the towns left and right of us. We go to Greenport and 𝗬𝗏𝗃 to help them if they need it. They come to us if we need it. We went to Riverhead the other day for that big garbage fire.
You're still muted.
Yeah.
I guess the call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram does that. If you get a call in between,
I know.
it's sort of
Yeah.
you're back.
Oh, I have an Instagram timer because like if I don't put a timer on my phone,
I
I'll
love
sit there and
that.
think.
I love
I
that
get,
you hold yourself accountable.
I know. I get 30 minutes a day.
Oh,
That's
see,
it.
I
That's all I get.
have a timer too, but my timer is very long,
Yeah.
so I rarely.
I can't.
So my second question, which I feel like you kind of answered, but from watching television, my perception is that there's a bunch of people hanging around at the firehouse, with
Making chili.
and
Making
eating
chili.
That's true.
eating
That
chili.
does happen.
Yes, waiting for a call to come in.
Yeah.
So that is not true in the case of Southold.
Technically, no.
Okay.
But there's also plenty of times, like I said, where after meetings, after trainings, where everyone's kind of hanging out. Like we had a training the other day, and we're all packing up, ready to go, and the tones went off, and we put all our stuff back on, and we kept going again. So no, there's a houseman who's kind of like answers the phone and the radio, but that's the only person that's there all the time.
So Tracy, a friend of mine is a volunteer, as a fireman in a firehouse in New Jersey, but
Yeah.
they are part on staff and part volunteer. So the staff has shifts, and then in that case, they sit around eating chili.
Yeah.
But I guess when you're a volunteer, you could sit at home and eat chili until you need to be going someplace, right? Which, by the way, I do want to talk about the chili because there's something about, I guess, fireman chili. You guys have the best chili, and maybe I'm slightly biased, but you guys do have the best chili when you do come to the Greenport Brewery. I just saw Greenport Brewery on here at their chili tasting contest. Oh my God. Who cooks it? Do you guys spend hours perfecting it?
Yeah, there's definitely some practice. It's very good to have 𝗬𝗎 Isaacs in your corner. But yeah, no, we the last 2 years we got this recipe and we kind of been rolling with it, and people like it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And yeah, that's a great day for the community to come out and kind of like see there's other things that not just the fire department, just not just going to accidents, but we can do fun stuff like this and do chilies and Easter egg hunts and the golf outing. So it's there's a lot going on. So it's great.
So before, because I'm looking at the time, it's already 9:20. So how can people sign up to volunteer? And then also part B, how can people who maybe don't have time to volunteer but want to support the fire department, how can they support the fire department?
Sure. If you want to volunteer, send an email, send a message to the Instagram, walk down to the firehouse on 25, knock on the door and get an application. And like I said, it's whatever people can do. If you say I can give 3 hours a week, that's fine. We'll take it. That we appreciate it. And if it's not, if you don't want to join, we want to support. Donations are always great. Or just, if we have events, coming to them, go like the chili competition, and just being around. And just, we always do food drives and clothes drives or whatever for the school. So just being a part of the community. And a lot of times putting on these events, they do take a lot of work. So we appreciate when people come. It stinks when you do work really hard and like 4 people come, but we haven't really had that in the last couple of years, which has been
Tell
great.
us about the golf outing specifically, because that is a fundraiser, correct?
Yes. So that's the fundraiser for the Benevolent. Benevolent is essentially a fund that the firehouse has in case anyone within the fire department has any issues. They, whatever it may be. Literally, it's money that we kind of keep in case to kind of support our own. We do have a golf tournament coming up June 25th at Island's End. I believe we are sold out for golfers, which is great. But there's still some opportunities to advertise or sponsor that are closing quickly just because we got to get all that stuff to the printer. But that's something that the fire department did for a while. And then I think like during COVID, it stopped and it kind of hasn't really happened the last couple of years. So we decided to resurrect it this year. And we're way ahead of what I thought we would be doing right now in terms of golfers and sponsors, which is great.
But
it's going to be.
You can still come for the dinner portion post golfing, yes?
I think we're sold out of everything. I'll have to double check with Steve.
That's great.
I think we're like at capacity what Island's End can hold. So.
Well, that's awesome.
Again, if you told me that 6 months ago, I'd have been like, I don't believe you. But it's been a very good.
Well, next year you'll have to set a bigger table.
I know. I'll have to get 2 golf courses.
So
well, but I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. I think it's a two-way street. You guys give so much. I'm not surprised that the community is willing to open back up and give right back.
Yeah. No, I think, like I said, that's a great way to support the fire department is if we do any sort of event, come and just hang out. It's going to be fun either way. So just to be around us, be around the community, it's great any capacity.
Yeah. I see in the comments, people were asking, is there an age limit to volunteer? But I have another question. Is there an age minimum to volunteer? So how, 18?
It has to be 18, live in the district of Southold. But there's no limit per se. If you can still drive and you're 105, like we'll take you, So it's like I said, there's roles for everybody. Some of them are physical and require like some sort of like training, and a lot of them are just support roles. Coming to the golf tournament and like just helping set it up or like little stuff like that. So there's always something for everybody to do. So a great example is like Steve. Steve is he's not gonna like this, but he's kind of old.
You didn't just go there.
Well,
no, you didn't.
It's just for Steve. That's between Steve and
Wait,
I.
old is relative. I just like to point that out.
He's got a young soul.
Steve is not old.
But Steve, like, he was right there with, all the guys who were in their mid-20s and, sweating it out, throwing up ladders. Like, he's 20, he's...
I've seen Steve do a push-up contest in the middle of Moroni, so...
Steve is something. But it's just a great example of, like, there is no age limit. There's no, like, clubs or cliques within the fire department. Like, we're all just kind of one group hanging out, supporting each other, and then supporting the community.
Well, like you said, different people bring different skills to the table. So that, the thing I wanted to end with really was, and I know, Tracy, you lived this and appreciated with having Tilly so young, something about since a very little kid. Every little kid looks up to what you guys do. And I know, I have 3 boys that I raised, and every time we have taken them as kids, it's such a great experience to meet the people that are doing this. And it is something that every kid grows up wanting to be. So I thank you guys for being such amazing role models and setting the tone for how to be as a human at a very early age.
Yeah, it's great. And like I said, those are the same people that, if I come change your light bulb, or if someone, someone's a plumber in the department and they come fix your sink, like they're all the same people. They're all in the Southold community doing whatever they got to do. But when, something goes wrong, that's we come do for. It's what we signed up to do.
And actually, to that point, when is your next sort of like come touch a fire truck, see a fire truck thing for kids?
We just had one a couple of weeks ago, but I'm sure we'll do something over the summer that will be posted on Instagram. But yeah, those are great days for, the kids just to come in and just look at the stuff, touch the stuff. And, sometimes people get like intimidated by firemen because we're in this big hunky gear and we have a mask on. It looks weird, but it's just, again, we're just the same people that are
When you
going to see IGA.
have a mask on. I thought you said have a mascot. I was like, what mascot?
Mask on, yeah. No.
Well, but Tracy, parades are coming up. We live in a
Yeah.
town. We love parades.
Well,
So I'm sure 4th of July.
It's the 4th of July
Yep,
parade, right? That
4th
has
of
all the
July.
fire trucks.
They all have them. Every parade. They show up to every parade, which
Yes,
is so
but the
neat.
4th of July one is like every fire truck in Suffolk County comes and goes down Main Road. Tilly and I went to it last year, and it was amazing.
Yes, 4th of July is in Southold. There's one in July in Jamesport. There's St. Patrick's Day in Cutchogue. There's President's Day in Greenport. It feels like there's one every couple of weeks, which is fun. And again, just great days to come out and just see the things, see the people, and just talk to people. So it's fun.
Well, every time I see one go by in the parade, even as a grown old adult, I'm like, I want to be on the truck, So I think it's a core
parade fire
memory.
stuff. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, next parade, Tracy. Me and Tilly.
Yeah.
I'll wear a fireman hat.
That's it.
I don't think that's how the firemen and women wave. Just saying. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for everything you do. And thank you to your entire team. Good luck with your fundraiser. I'm so glad it's sold out, but we'll attach a link for anybody who wants to donate. Wait, I have a question, which I totally forgot. How do you get funds to run the department? Is it all donations? How do you get funds?
Yeah, most of it's donations. So,
wow.
You can kind of, if you want to donate, you could just send a check to the fire department. And like last night, we had a department meeting, and all those checks get read to the fire department, so everyone, appreciates if you donate anything. But then all the events and just kind of being around is, kind of all we ask for.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much
for your service.
And thank you for being valuable members of the community.
Always.
Well, enjoy this beautiful weekend. I know it's going to rain in between here and there, but there is so much going on in the North Fork, so we'll see you around somewhere.
That's it.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.